All right, ladies and gentlemen. For some reason, it played the wrong video.
So how was your week, Dave? Did you try any
well,
new foods or?
Yeah, okay. So, hey, Dees, what's going on, man?
What in the holy clusterfuck was that?
Listen, so
It's a cool video.
it was a cool video. I mean, I went to go play the Renegades theme, and for some reason, the unscripted one shows up. My God. Hey, I'm blaming Matt Canada.
It's all about the hat.
Yes, the Matt Canada hat, because our offense was fucked up when we had him. The show production is screwed up when I got this on. So, Matt Canada, screw you. Well, welcome back, Chipper.
Oh, I haven't laughed so hard.
Welcome back, Chipper.
Oh God.
Hey, I got that sync shit again. I'm gonna back out and I'll get right back in it.
All right, go ahead. So anyway, what is happening, Chipper? Back on Steel City Renegades here. Glad to have you back.
Well, apparently we had the draft. We had the overhyped schedule release.
The overhyped schedule release?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
I just don't other than the NFL wanting the ratings and whatnot. Oh, that's one.
That's one.
I don't understand why there has to be this TV show or all the social media shit about when we're playing who, when. I mean, who cares? We knew months ago who were playing at home, who were playing away. Does it really matter what dates we play them? I mean, really.
Mean, it does, Chipper.
Why?
A lot of people want to get their schedule going.
Okay, so just post it on NFL, go to the team's website, look at the schedule. You don't need to have the 4-letter or 3-letter network do a big old show, hour and a half show about it.
Well, that's what they do to make money because
I understand that.
You'll get viewers to watch.
I understand that. That's why I said, except for ratings and money, there's no need for it. Did you watch it?
I did not because I was at work.
Okay.
Dees didn't watch it neither, I bet. Dees, did you watch the schedule release?
No, I looked at Twitter, saw the schedule, and I was done. We need to fire our social media person though, because our video that we did was just fucking stupid. I'm sorry. Look, Benton, Herbig, I love you guys, but I can't believe you agreed to do that dumb shit.
They did them out in the woods or wherever the hell it was.
Yeah, looking for Squatch.
Yeah,
fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And other than for clicks, money, ratings for the 4-letter network or the 3-letter network, and clicks on social media for the teams and stuff, I don't understand the need for the hype, the hour and a half show, however long it was, just to say, oh yeah, Steelers are playing in this, the Eagles are playing this. Okay, just post the schedule and let's be done with it. We knew months ago who we were playing at home, who we were playing away. Dates don't matter. Just post the schedule.
I mean, I see your point, Chipper, but there's a lot of people that want to see.
Oh, the dates matter. Like for people like me that want to go see the Steelers in Chicago, the dates definitely matter because I was really hoping for like a September, October game, but nope, it's fucking November 23rd when the wind is whipping off Lake Michigan and you're colder than fuck up in that stadium.
That's Thanksgiving week, isn't it?
No.
Or is that?
I think it's the Sunday before.
That might be a game that I have to go to, Dees.
21st.
But anyway, Adam Bittner is going to join us here at 10:15. So we'll get some latest Steelers news. Maybe he's got some breaking news on one of Chipper's favorite Steeler that's going to sign Aaron Rodgers.
Oh God, please.
But anyway, let's get through our.
I literally just got past all that now because with the Olave rumors and all this other stuff, it just got me even more pissed off.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But let's get into this schedule real quick. So September the 7th, we played the Jets. And
hold on, I have to do this again.
Sync
the sync thing, like that's what's screwing the show up. So 1 second.
We're not actually playing the Bears.
Yeah, we are. November 23rd.
Oh, November 23rd. Okay, I saw it. Never mind. I saw it. Okay.
So D's going to come back in. I don't know what's going on his part, but D's going to come back in. But Chipper, We got game number 1 this year. We're going to the Meadowlands, and we're going to play our former quarterback, Justin Fields. And Justin Fields, from what I'm being told, or all over Twitter, that he is looking forward to this game, and especially them coming in to the Meadowlands.
Yeah, and
how's that?
And our soon-to-be starting quarterback going back to his former team. Oh yeah, it's exactly what the NFL wanted. You know, I mean, I don't know. We're not 100% sure that who our quarterback is going to be, but I mean, the Jets, Justin Fields, the rivalry, or what do you want to call it, animosity, or whatever Justin Fields may have towards the Steelers. It'll be obviously an interesting game.
Yeah. Deez, your thoughts on game number 1, Pittsburgh versus the Jets?
It's exactly what the NFL wanted.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the opponents before the schedule is even out, I was really kind of leaning towards that being our opening game. You know, with the whole Rodgers and Justin Fields thing, it's the perfect. I knew it was going to be really early, but I kind of thought it would be the opener. But I like it. Let's get it out of the way. Get all the side bullshit. You know, get it out of the way, the distractions, and then get on with the season.
Yep.
Okay, so now we go to game number 2. The Seattle Seahawks travel to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers at Acrisure Stadium. What's your thoughts on that, Chipper? We'll start with you.
Yeah. Don't know what kind of team Seattle has right now, because as far as I recall, they don't even have any good wide receivers since they traded DK Metcalf to us and they let Tyler Lockett go. So other than Jackson Smith and Jigba, don't even know who their wide receivers are. So that bodes well for us, as far as I'm concerned.
And they lost Bobby Wagner again, didn't they? Didn't he retire? Or no, Wagner?
Wagner's not with him. I think Wagner's still Washington.
That's right.
That's right. I forgot about that. They lost a big defensive player as well. I can't remember what his name was.
So Seattle's doing all kinds of like rebuilding or whatever for some reason. But hey,
their secondary, I don't remember who all they added, but their secondary got better because they're talking about, you know, the second coming of the Legion of Boom, which I think that might be an overstatement, but should be a good game. We'll get to see if Sam
Darnold
is worth the hype.
Yeah, which I don't think he is. Home opener, I think he's in for a rude awakening there.
So speaking of quarterbacks that just got signed, did you guys see Brock Purdy's payday?
Yeah, 5 years, 265.
Wow. That's a big payday.
It's a big payday for a guy that got drafted in the 7th round?
Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah.
So, all right, so then we go from Seattle Seahawks, and then we go to the revised, got some heart put into them. I've been watching a lot of the Mike Vrabel interaction with his players. They go to the New England at Foxborough. The Patriots, it's a 1:00 game. Your thoughts on that, D?
They're going to be vastly improved, both with coaching and with the talent that they've picked up. But I think Drake May is, you know, his first full year as a starter. I think our defense is going to be nasty. And by week 3, I think we're going to start to see more from Derek Harmon and Aya Black. So, I think Drake May is going to get smacked around a little bit. They have improved their offensive line, but I don't know that team is going to be gelled by then. So I like our shot.
Chipper, your thoughts on that?
I mean, with New England, with just the coaching change themselves, Mike Vrabel himself is just going to add a lot more stability, a lot more attitude to the team. So that'll be an interesting game.
Okay, so then we go to week number 4, where we're in Ireland at 9:30 a.m. We play the Minnesota Vikings, and this is considered a home game for the Steelers. So all you season ticket holders who are bitching about losing a game, talk to Art Rooney and the NFL.
But they didn't, is the thing, because this is the year that the AFC gets 9 home games. So they still got their 8 home games.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of people on Twitter that's bitching about them losing.
Well, they're the same motherfuckers, no offense, Chipper, that are crying about getting one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time on our roster too.
With Tom Brady?
It's going to be, it should be a good game. In Minnesota, they still have a lot of talent on that team, but the big question is JJ ready?
Right.
And it will be a hostile environment because, with the Rooney family and everything, I think that the Steelers are going to be very well represented over there. So it's going to feel like a home game. And you can bet your ass that they will have Renegade for those people in Ireland and a bunch of redheaded drunk Irishmen going ape shit for a kick song. Yeah.
So
I mean, Minnesota is essentially the same exact team that won 15 games last year,
except for quarterback.
Except for the quarterback. That's it. So it is essentially the same team. So yeah, it's just a matter of, is JJ legit or not?
Well, we'll find out. He's coming off of what he had an Achilles tear, right? Isn't that what he had? Achilles?
No, it was a knee.
Yeah,
I think it was a knee.
ACL, I believe.
All right, as we get into the bye week, we got Adam Bittner coming on. So, Adam Bittner, how are you doing today, buddy?
Hey, guys, I'm well. How are you guys?
We're good. We're just getting into the Steelers schedule. We're at week 5 right now, the bye week. What's your thoughts real quick on the schedule for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I think it's going to be an interesting schedule. You got some tough games on there against good teams. Minnesota, the Lions, Buffalo at the end of the season. So it's going to be a tough stretch. I know a lot of people have talked about it being a similar tough stretch to end the season like last year, but I don't quite see it that way. I think you probably would rather face Baltimore, given what happened in the playoffs, with a little time for that defensive line to gel and come together, just given the way they pounded the Steelers into submission in that playoff game. So I think it's probably ultimately a good thing. And look, if you're not good enough to compete against the best in the NFL, it's not going to matter whether it's the beginning or the end of the season. So the Steelers are just at some point going to have to beat good teams, whether it's week 1 or week 17.
Absolutely. And Adam, we appreciate you for coming on. You got myself here, Dynamite Dave, you got Chipper, and you got Dees. We're all on here. Appreciate you coming on with so short notice. I know we've been in contact via email and via text. Love to have you on once a month if you'd love to come on. But next question I got for you, what the hell is going on with the Steelers quarterback saga? Will we give ever an answer if Aaron Rodgers is going to sign with the Steelers?
It still seems like it's heading that direction, and that the team doesn't consider this nearly as dramatic as it appears to be on the outside. Certainly the meal that the national media makes of this seemingly every day now, because we're in that point in the season where they're looking for storylines. They don't have kind of the inside sources that we do with the Post-Gazette, who seem to think this is still going to happen. That doesn't mean it's a 100% thing. Maybe Aaron Rodgers decides he doesn't want to play. Maybe something materializes with another team, but at least the posture of the franchise seems to indicate that they plan to go into the season with Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, and Will Howard, and then maybe you look toward 2026 with all those picks you've stockpiled toward drafting a guy. So, I don't think it's as dramatic as it appears to be. Maybe that puts me in a minority, but that's how I'm looking at it right now.
I'd like to pick your brain on that very point. None of us are actually in the city. Like, I'm in Illinois, those guys are in Ohio. But the big story that all of the naysayers and that myself and Chipper over there constantly argue over is this narrative that Aaron Rodgers is this locker room cancer, bad teammate, drama queen. And my argument is that in his long career, when can you name one player, even from the past, that doesn't have to worry about pissing people off anymore? When can you think of anybody coming out and saying that this guy's a bad teammate?
We actually had the New York Post Jets beat reporter on the podcast, and he said that Aaron Rodgers was a pleasure to deal with on a local, kind of day-to-day level. I think a lot of the perception of Aaron Rodgers has calcified because of his national perception and how he's chosen to present himself on a range of topics. So, no, I have not heard that in my media perusals and some of the guys I know, that he is necessarily a big problem in the locker room. Now, does that mean that there aren't going to be guys in that locker room that have a problem with the way that Aaron Rodgers decides to present himself publicly? That aren't going to have a problem with, say, if he decides to be on Pat McAfee every week during the season, as he has been in the past, and he's talking about players and their performance, and he's kind of using that platform in a similar way to how Ben Roethlisberger used his radio show for many years. We remember that's where he made the famous comments about Mason Rudolph, and that kind of bad blood boiled up a little bit. But I also don't think people necessarily label Ben Roethlisberger a bad teammate just for that stuff having been out there. So, I think there's some gray area there. I don't think it's going to be a black and white situation where he is, the world's best teammate and everyone's, coming out publicly and talking about how great it is to have him in camp. And there's no problems at all. But I also don't think he is going to change the tenor of that locker room. I don't think he's at the stage of his career that he could really do that anyway. I think it is Mike Tomlin's locker room. I think Mike Tomlin is going to maintain order, certainly for all the criticism that it's fair against him. This is still his team, and I don't think 1 year of Aaron Rodgers is going to change that. Now, if Aaron Rodgers was 35, would I say the same thing? Maybe not, but I think we all know that this is a 1 year situation, and guys in that locker room know who's signing the paychecks and who represents the guy signing that paycheck, and that, no matter how they feel about Aaron Rodgers, he's probably going to be gone by this time next year. So they better, make nice with the coaching staff and the guys who are in charge.
Go ahead, Chip.
Hey, Adam, I just want to say that, I watch your guys' stuff on the YouTube quite a bit. I like how you, Chris Carter and Brian Batko do your stuff with Ray Fittipaldo and Paul Zeiss on the YouTube thing. So those are really good and really insightful. So I just want to get that out of the way now. With that being said, would Aaron Rodgers really make that big of a difference for 1 year to get us not only to the playoffs, but at least one win, maybe even 2 wins? Would he make that big of a difference?
I'm not ready to say that. I still think that they are not good enough on paper for reasons that go beyond Aaron Rodgers. Do I think he has a chance to be better than what they had last year, better than what they had in Kenny Pickett? Yes, I think the thing about Aaron Rodgers is that he knows where the ball needs to go. I think toward the end of Ben Roethlisberger's career, I maybe personally discounted that a little bit. And as the arm strength faded and those types of things went away, Ben still thought the game really well, and that's how he was able to keep them in games that they probably should not have been in. So Aaron Rodgers kind of comes in with that advantage. He's been in this league for a long time. And so I think the Steelers get that back to some degree, but especially after the George Pickens trade, I think it's going to take a lot to get these, receivers playing at the level you need to as difference makers to go and win playoff games. And look, I think the AFC is, it's just a tougher breed of cat than it has been, in some of those years that the Steelers were winning Super Bowls, where you could look at Brady, Manning, as the two guys that, if you could get past them, you'd have a chance to win the Super Bowl. I think there's a lot more teams, kind of in that category. You have the Bengals with Joe Burrow. You have Lamar Jackson with the Ravens. You got Patrick Mahomes, obviously, and then Josh Allen. That's 4 teams that I don't think the Steelers are good enough against. And that makes it a little tougher to, pull an upset in the first round and then, or, beat a decent team in the first round, pull an upset in the second round, and then hope things work out in the third round. And I think that's the way the Steelers have somewhat modeled their team. I've always made the joke that they've won 6 Super Bowl titles, and they seem to most want to replicate the worst one, which was the 2005 team that was able to slip into the playoffs and then make a difference. And I think Paul Zeiss will tell you this, that it's a little bit of a misremembering of history, because that team was really good, and it was only 10-6 because of a ton of injuries that kind of resolved themselves late in the season. So I think the Steelers have somewhat told themselves that, oh yeah, as long as we get in the tournament, we're going to have a chance. I don't know that the AFC of today matches that reality. So I'm not ready to say they're going to win a playoff game. If they get lucky and maybe you draw like a Miami or something in a first round, one of those bottom seeds, then maybe. If you win the division, if there's an injury in Baltimore or something, or things go wrong with Cincinnati, yeah, can I see them winning a playoff game? Yes. Do I think they're going to beat the teams that people want them to beat? I'm not ready to go there yet.
Adam, real quick, you talked about George Pickens' trade. We've been knocking at the door and going through this for 2 years now. Do you think the Steelers make a move for a number 2 wide receiver? I mean, there's a lot of rumors going on out there. Olave, they're going to get this person. They're going to get that person. They're going to sign a free agent. with you working with at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, I know you can't give out much info, but do you think that they're going to make a trade or sign another free agent for their number two, or are they content with the players that they have?
Yeah, I don't have a ton of reporting on this to pass along. I think I would be surprised if they move draft assets to bring someone in for this season. I don't want to say I think they're punting on 2025 per se, but I do think that they're allocating the resources to really go after this draft in Pittsburgh, stock up the depth and things like that. So I think the deal from that, they'd have to really like the return. Maybe you're taking a guy like Chris Olave and you're able to lock him up like you did with DK Metcalf, and you have a number one and a number two for a period of time there. Certainly the names that are free agents, I don't know if anyone signed this weekend, been a little bit out of the loop, but Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, I wouldn't be surprised to see them go that direction. I think you're wanting to spend money. You're not wanting to spend draft resources because the money resets a year from now, whereas the draft resources, you lose out on a player for 4 or 5 years or whatever you might be able to acquire if you want to go up and get a quarterback next season. So if they find a way to thread the needle with the value, I think that they still might make a move there for a significant name, but I'd be surprised if it was a trade.
And another thing real quick, how much money off the top of your head do you think that the Steelers have left in the salary cap to sign free agents? I know Rodgers said that he would play for $10 million. There's been reports that there's a deal on the table for $25 to $30 million for Rodgers for 1 year. Last time I checked, I do believe the Steelers had about $28 million left to spend in free agency. I know that they just recently tried sign Trey Sermon to a 1 year deal as maybe our third or fourth back, which I see kind of the demise of Cordell Patterson after that. So, what's your thoughts, or what's your knowledge on the salary cap on how much money they have left?
I mean, $28 million sounds right to me. I haven't looked at Spot Rack lately, so it's ultimately all going to come down to what Aaron Rodgers signs for, what he wants to play for, what he leaves on the table in terms of their ability. But they also have the ability. This is why it's sometimes tough to talk in absolutes about NFL salary caps. Omar Khan's the original of finding ways of moving money around. So I think if they wanted to get a veteran free agent receiver, they would find the accounting tricks to be able to do that. It's not going to be a bank breaking deal. You're probably talking about a 1 or 2 year contract. I'd be surprised if it was an annual value over 10 million, something like that. So I think they will find the money if that's the move they want to make.
Yeah, I'm of the belief that Aaron's probably going to sign for around 10 to 15, maybe get up to the 20s with incentives. And we know that Pittsburgh traditionally doesn't leave much meat on the bone when it comes down to the salary cap and what they actually spend. Do you think that they're going in with that mindset? Now, this is taking the receiver 2 off the table, because I'm sure that if they do sign a number 2, it's going to be kind of a bargain bin deal where maybe a Cooper or Keenan Allen in the no less or no more than 10 a year. So then they've got a little bit stockpiled that they're going to push that towards the TJ deal and maybe front load it a little bit to give them relief down the road? Or do you think it's going to be a traditional start low, end high kind of deal?
I don't think that they have a problem paying TJ Watt in terms of the available resources. I think it's more a question of is he worth 40 plus million per season, going into his 30s, when we know he does have somewhat of an injury history himself. We know his brother broke down a lot in Houston. We know that it's a rough and tumble position for a lot of guys. So do you want to allocate that amount of cap space to him? So I think they have the money to do it. I don't know if they have the will to do it. So that's, I think that's a curious situation. Do I think they'll get close to the cap? Yes, I think they want to spend close to that. They also do, as the NFL marketplace is evolving a little bit, these teams like to leave a little bit of in-season wiggle room. So they don't like to go straight all the way up to the cap as you go into camp, because then that limits your ability to make a trade. or go out and get a guy if they become available, to do that kind of move late in training camp when guys start getting cut and you have these late camp casualty type of guys. Joe Hayden is on that list. So I think the big picture question is how many moves do they have left to make beyond Aaron Rodgers, and I'd be surprised if it's more than one or two if you go out and get another receiver.
Now, I know that we just got done with rookie mini camp, but I'm just curious as to, how I didn't see what you guys said on YouTube about Will Howard, but how did he look? And do you think that he might actually have a chance of playing this year?
Our guys who were down there thought he had command of the huddle. I mean, there's only so much you can learn from football in shorts.
Right.
Look, he's a competitor. He won a national championship. I do think the Steelers. I think the fan base has gotten a little ahead of their skis with him. I don't see a franchise quarterback type here, as some people in our YouTube comments, say seemingly every day now. He wasn't a franchise quarterback at Ohio State. He was the guy that drove a really good car, adequately. He had really good receivers to work with the Buckeyes. Made some, to his credit, made some really solid throws during the playoff run. Maybe redeemed the fact that he was somewhat unremarkable during the regular season. Maybe that's the reason he was able to get, drafted at all, considering he fell to the 6th round. Do I think he could play this year? I think the scenario would be some combination of Aaron Rodgers not coming here and Mason Rudolph getting hurt. I don't think that would be their preference. I don't know that he has the tools. I think they, to the greatest extent possible, would want him to have kind of a redshirt year. We know that that's a concept that they seem to like with a guy like Roman Wilson, for example. Other guy, Corey Trice, he had the injury, but I think that he was showing them things that made him like them. So it was when he came back last season, they were excited about him. So I think Will Howard's probably, in an ideal circumstance, you want him to have a redshirt year. You don't want to see him this year. I think you'd worry that any possible development would be hurt by getting thrown in against NFL defenses and not a lot of time to prepare for them.
Yeah, I'm of the mind that, look, I would like to see Will Howard become Tom Brady-esque in that, a 6th rounder becomes this superstar franchise guy. I think more of his wheelhouse, though, is probably going to be like a Nick Foles, somebody who can come in, maybe win you a few games and can get hot, like he did with Ohio State, if he's surrounded by the right talent. But it's hard to say, coming in as a rookie, you don't know what you have. Like, nobody thought Brock Purdy was going to end up signing a $256 million contract. So I am of the mind that, it's all the chips are going to be on the table next year's draft, and they're going to use that capital to go up and get one of these guys. Probably not Manning, because I don't think he's going to come out. But I like Will Howard. I just don't necessarily see him as a franchise guy either.
Yeah, I think there's been a snowball effect with him where there's certainly things to like, and I don't want to throw cold water on everyone and say no, this guy's got no chance or anything like that. It's just sometimes it starts with, oh yeah, this guy might be decent. He might have a chance. He might have a chance to develop. And a week later, you're talking about him as a franchise guy, as I've seen from a lot of people. I know our traffic has spiked on anything we've done about Will Howard, so I know there's a ton of interest and. People want to know about this guy. I don't blame them. I just I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 6th round pick. If we get like I said, a Nick Foles type career out of the guy, I call that a win.
Yeah, I think that would be a nice outcome. And you need a guy like that you can rely on as a long-term number 2 to and maybe the Steelers have missed that at certain points. Mason Rudolph wasn't ready for his moment. When Ben Roethlisberger went down.
Dare I say the name Landry Jones?
Yeah, I mean, but Landry Jones came in and won games, for them as well. So there's certainly listen, these backup quarterbacks in the NFL get paid a lot of money. Mitch Trubisky got paid a lot of money by the Steelers, even though the results weren't quite there. So if you have a good one, it is an asset.
Adam, real quick, before we let you go here, because I know you said about 15, 20 minutes, and we've already had you on for about 18 minutes. Pittsburgh, we'll get back to the draft here. We drafted Jack Sawyer. What was their thoughts on that? Was it just the best available player there? Did they have an idea on what they're going to do with him? Are they concerned about TJ getting older and maybe not re-sign TJ and whatever?
I think my best read on that has been he's very good in run defense, and I know you don't typically think of edge guys for what they can do against the run, but that is I think the organizing principle of this offseason for the Steelers is that they have to be better there if they're going to be in a division against certainly the Ravens for as long as Lamar Jackson's going to be around. The Browns. Whether they can run the ball right now is different from the fact that they want to. They want to have that Nick Chubb plowing away like he was a couple of years ago. And there's other guys too. Like, you have to tackle Josh Allen. He's on that list of guys. So I think Jack Sawyer was a move toward, being able to shore that up a little bit in the short term. And then, yes, in the long run, if he comes in and performs well, does it lessen the need for a TJ Watt long term? Maybe, but I don't think that that's the reason that they did that. It's a 4th round pick. I do think it's more you draft those guys more for niche circumstances. Like, can we stick him in there on rundowns? Is he better than Nick Herbig? Is he maybe better than Alex Highsmith in certain circumstances? I think the move was made with a lot more of an eye toward that, and he does have solid pass rush skills too. I don't want to make it sound like you can't throw him in there and he'll have an ability to get after the passer too. That's something that he has that maybe some of the other guys in this group do not. And then maybe you let things evolve a little bit in terms of the TJ situation. And I think he'd have to really earn it over a long period of time for them to say, oh yeah, now we're good without TJ.
There's no such thing as too much depth, especially at that position, as we saw a few times over the last couple seasons.
Yes. So, I think that's the expectation people should have for him. See him be used a little more situationally, and if he excels, in that way, like Nick Herbig has as a pass rusher, maybe he gets more responsibility in the future.
One last yes or no question, gun to your head: is TJ Watt a Steeler for the 2026 season and beyond?
I'm going to say yes in terms of what I think they will do. In terms of what I think they should do, I don't know. I might say no. I think if you can get some draft capital for next season, it's a move I would consider strongly. But I think that they really like these one jersey guys. They really that's their preference. So I do think he will be back. I do think they'll figure it out.
Chipper, real quick, you got anything for Adam?
Nope, all good.
Adam, we appreciate you for coming on, man, especially on short notice. I'll text you or email you, see if you're interested in coming on any more down the future. But we appreciate you for joining us, man.
Thanks, Adam.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.
All right. Yep. Bye-bye. All right, there you have it. Adam Bittenreiner from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. He gave us his insight on the Pittsburgh Steelers and his thoughts on the quarterback situation with Aaron Rodgers, with Will Howard. He talked a little bit about the TJ Watt thing.
His point about TJ Watt is interesting. That he's not the only one that I've heard that from. The Steelers probably will, because, like he said, it's the one jersey player. He plays a whole career for the Steelers. But should they because of the money?
I mean, after he said that, my mind started wondering. I mean, if you can get 2 seconds or a second, maybe a third and a fourth coming up for him, I mean, I don't want to see TJ go, but if you can get good draft capital for the next couple of years, do it. I mean, I would much rather get rid of Highsmith, because now you have Peyton Wilson, you have Nick Herbig, you have Jack Sawyer. So maybe he's a casualty, but I mean, I don't know, man. I really don't. I mean, and Adam brought up a good point. If somebody calls about TJ and they offer you the house,
sure,
take it. Take it.
I'd rather have an offense that can stay on the field for more than 3 plays, so TJ doesn't get the absolute shit beat out of him for 60 minutes.
I mean, you're right on that too, but how do you do that? I mean, is Arthur Smith the proper offensive coordinator for this? Is Aaron Rodgers the right quarterback for this? We don't know. We don't know when the decision or the saga is going to stop with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I know that the Steelers are waiting for him because it's obvious that They haven't signed another quarterback. They haven't tried to make another move. Maybe they got something written in stone, a handshake agreement or something with Rodgers, but I don't know when he signs. I don't know if he signs. I mean,
just to touch on that real quick, I was watching your boy Noah the other day on All Steelers Talk, and he was, he's got people inside the building, and he couldn't go into details, nor would he give up his source because that's just not what you do.
Right.
But he made it known that this situation that Aaron is dealing with is extremely serious, and that his exact words were, if people knew, they would probably back off a little bit. So speculate all you want. I think that, kind of like you said, I think that there is an agreement with the team, and that he's probably told Tomlin, look, yeah, it's probably going to happen. Let me just finish wrapping this stuff up. I personally think he's going to be there before minicamp.
What situation are we talking about?
Well, when he went on Pat McAfee, that he was talking about how there's somebody in his very, very inner circle that is going through some serious issues.
Okay.
And that's why he's not focused on anything football wise. And he wouldn't say, and nobody in the Pittsburgh media will say, but for me, it just kind of, I don't know, reassured me a little bit that somebody like Noah would come out, who clearly knows, and said that that this isn't just some bullshit thing. So he doesn't have to do OTAs or anything. Like, he's legit dealing with some issues with somebody very close to him.
Yeah, you're right, Deez. And Chipper, for a guy who doesn't like Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if you've seen the Pat McAfee.
I'm not saying I don't like the guy. I'm just saying that this whole situation is just.
Hold on 1 second. For somebody who doesn't like him or doesn't condone on what he's doing or the situation, whatever, I suggest you go back and watch that Pat McAfee episode, because Aaron really puts a lot of shit out on the table that he's really never talked about. And that was one of the things that Deez just mentioned. He said it on the interview, and you can tell by his body language. He's like, listen, like, I'm not holding these teams hostage. I told them if they wanted to move on, they can move on. I'd play for $10 million. He said that it was an embarrassment on how the Jets did him in his final interview, and that he did have somebody that was very close to him in his inner circle that is going through some tough stuff, and his decision would be when his decision was made. And he said that he flat out told teams that called him that if they want to move on, move on. I'm not holding anybody hostage. And he goes, I don't know where the media gets this at. They're just telling stories. He says he don't even watch what the media is or what the media says. He finds out through his sister. So if I were you, Chipper, I would check that episode out. It's actually a pretty good one with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, if that's the case, then the Steelers organization is embarrass themselves even more so, because they could have traded or done this, and if he told them ahead of time that he's going through this.
But he could also told them maybe he's got a deal on the table, like D says.
I think that he has made it aware to them that he is heavily, heavily leaning towards playing. I think that whatever this situation is, if it takes a dramatic turn for the worse, I think then retirement comes onto the table. But I think that they left that conversation with, look, yeah, I'm dealing with this, but I'm coming. And I think that's why Pittsburgh's been kind of relaxed about it. But this whole Aaron Rodgers thing, in the public opinion, both general and within Pittsburgh, look, the guy could run into a burning building and rescue 10 babies and a pack of puppies, and they would still shit on him. Like, Absolutely. It's just, it frustrates me to no end. And I was talking to Justin McGonigal, who's the owner operator of SteelerNation.com, and we were kind of joking about how we both had Aaron Rodgers jerseys on order, and I went one step further and said that I've got a number 12 Aaron Rodgers jersey on order in my cart, just to piss people off. Because look, at the end of the day, like I've said time and time again, if you want to win football games, yeah, maybe Mason can do okay. But if you want to realistically give yourself the best possible shot at a postseason success, whether it's a win a playoff game or two, or who knows, you get hot at the right time, some teams have some injury, could win a Super Bowl, then Aaron's the guy.
I agree with you, Deez, on that. Go ahead, Chip.
But like even Adam just said, and we haven't even touched on this part yet. But okay, so maybe we do make the playoffs. But are we set up to be as good as a Buffalo, as a Kansas City? Those teams. Baltimore right now, for crying out loud.
We don't know that, because I will tell you this right now.
Then we'll go through all this for nothing then.
if Rodgers has agreed, okay, and they got their names speculating on wide receivers. Adam said it. You may go get a veteran wide receiver, maybe a Cooper, maybe a Keenan Allen,
yeah,
maybe a Romeo Dobbs from Green Bay, because I heard that name is being floated around too.
Also heard of Alan Lazard.
Yeah, Lazard signed with somebody, did he? I think he did. I think he signed.
Oh, he's still under contract with the Jets.
That's right. That's right. He's still under contract.
Yeah, it would have to be a trade for Lazard.
Yeah. Okay. But I think that if Aaron signs, they will make a move then on a number 2 wide receiver. That's my thoughts on that. Whether it be a veteran, a Keenan Allen, or Amari Cooper. Do I think that they can win the Super Bowl with that? I mean, anything's possible. Injuries can happen through, with Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City. Anything can happen. I mean,
on paper, no, we don't. But last year, on paper, Denver was going to suck, and they ended up making the playoffs and almost won a game. Or did they win? Did they win their wild card game?
No. I think they get their ass beat.
Yeah,
okay. It could happen. If Josh Allen goes down, or Lamar Jackson goes down, or Patrick Mahomes goes down, anything can happen.
Henry goes down.
Yeah, I just think that. Well, no, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we're going to fucking win 17 in a row and win the Super Bowl. No, but I think that if the cards fall in a certain way and we can stay healthy and maybe catch a few breaks, I think we have a legitimate shot to make a little noise.
And that's what it takes in the playoffs too, is some luck and some calls that go your way. We've seen that with the Jesse James, who still has a touchdown to this day. I mean, we've seen that the refs have put their hands all over these games. So, it may be a call here, a call there that gets them in, advances them into the AFC Championship game. We don't know. It's untold. All I want to know is, as we keep saying this, just give us an answer whenever Aaron's ready to give us an answer. Because, again, I watched the same episode that he did with Pat McAfee and with Noah Steinbach, and they both said the same exact thing. So it's something that's very close to Aaron, whether it be a family member or a good friend of his that's going through some stuff. Just give the guy time. Again, he may have a deal already in place with Pittsburgh. By the way he's talking, I really think he does have an agreement with Pittsburgh. He's just got to sign his name on a dotted line. That's my thought on that.
I think the contract is sitting on the desk and just waiting. I think everything's worked out. I would be shocked if it's anything more than 20 million, and that's after incentives. I think it's going to be 10 to 15 with the potential to get 20 or so.
I just think that specific situation, the Aaron Rodgers situation, and the other 1-year contracts that we signed guys to for just this year, we are not set up to win this year, and we may not even be set up to win next couple of years. I mean, all these guys are on 1-year deals.
That's why they sign these guys to 1-year deals.
But you got to remember, though, look at all the youth.
They're all old guys.
Yeah, well, but not really though. We're young, like everywhere, with the exception of Cam and the quarterback,
Darius Slay.
Well, and Slay, yeah, but we got Peasy on the other side, who's going only into his 3rd year. Right. They are setting the table to make a run in the next couple of years, and to be able to do that and still have people talking about maybe they could get into the playoffs. That's pretty impressive, really. You plug Aaron Rodgers into this team and they could win anywhere from 9 to 12 games, depending on how the chips fall. They could also win 5, but I'm just saying that the potential is there, and we have 12 draft picks to really make some noise next year, and then you build for the future. And if you could lock up a top tier quarterback on a rookie deal with all these guys that we have now that are going to be a year older, 2 years older, but still only 25, 26, 27 years old, the potential is there for 2026, 2027, 2028 for us to be juggernauts if these guys all kind of rise to the occasion.
Or also maybe if you don't like somebody coming out of the draft, like Adam Bittner said, maybe the Steelers make a trade before the beginning of the season for a quarterback that's maybe on his way out and they want to turn to a rookie. So keep your eye on that. I don't know. I just hope whatever's going on with Aaron Rodgers and his circle or his family or whatever, that everything is okay. And then Aaron comes out of this and either says he's retiring or he's going to play 1 year for the Steelers or maybe 2, because if he plays good this year, And Dees has always said it, and you can go back and watch the film from last year. As the season progressed last year, Aaron got better. He got better.
He played against crappy teams the last 4 or 5 games of the season, though.
Go back
he
and
doesn't
look.
make the schedule though. I mean,
I understand that.
I mean, you're right, Chipper. He has. Pittsburgh played crappy teams in the whole month of December, and what? We were 0-4. We should have won 2 of them 4 games.
I don't know. I don't know about crappy teams. It was fucking Baltimore, the Chiefs. Who was the other in that gauntlet?
The Browns.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about the 3 brutal games in a row there, which thankfully we don't have on this year's schedule.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, speaking of this year's schedule, we'll get back to that real quick. So we were on week 4, another year of early bye weeks here for the Steelers. Week 5, the early bye week, and then you go on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 game streak where you got no weeks off.
Yeah, I remember a while. It hasn't happened in the last few years, but I remember there for a while. It seemed like every year we were week 3, week 4, week 5. So I'm not surprised by it. I'm kind of used to it. I was hoping for a little bit later, but I get it. You know, after the Ireland game, you get the bye, so there's that.
But Dees, wouldn't you agree with the bye week being early? That kind of puts a little bit of damper on the conditioning of these guys, and maybe that's the reason why they kind of knew maybe at draft time, like when their bye week was going to be. That's probably why they drafted Jack Sawyer again, for taking some time away from TJ, giving him a little bit of rest, and building it out with like Malik Harrison and then guys, and maybe giving them guys a little bit plays off against teams or blowouts or whatever.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they knew that the bye was going to be early. I think it was more of a case of, look, our defense got their ass handed to them down the stretch because our offense couldn't do anything. So let's get a little more depth, because we saw what happened to TJ or our team when TJ wasn't there. So, and with Jack falling the way he did, I think that was a no-brainer because you instantly plug in a high motor guy that can give TJ a little bit more time. But again, it all hinges on whether or not the offense will have the ability to stay on the field. Our defense, while you hate to say it, can play at an elite level if they're not on the field for 10, 12 play drives every 2 minutes because our offense doesn't give them any kind of break.
Go ahead, Chipper.
Now, the only advantage to having I don't want to say advantage of the early bye week, but the thing after the bye week, 3 out of the next 5 games are like late games and they're at home. I mean, we play the Browns after the bye week at 1:00. And then after that, we play Cincinnati at 8:15, Green Bay at 8:20, Colts at 1:00. And then again, play the Colts at 8:20. So, we kind of have late games. So,
I like having that 10-day rest too between Cincinnati and Green Bay.
Yeah, I just seen that. So I'm assuming that October 16th game is a Monday Night Football game, correct?
Thursday.
Okay.
That's a Thursday nighter, and then a Sunday nighter against Green Bay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's kind of like a little mini bye week right there.
I just wish that the NFL would have the bye weeks for everybody, like more in the middle of the season rather than end of the season or beginning of the season. Say somewhere between like
8 and 11.
8, 11, 7 and 12, something like that.
Yeah.
They'll never do it because the simple fact is there's too much money to be made on a Sunday. But I would like to see an entire week or entire league week off.
Oh, there's no way in hell that would happen.
I know, but like you could literally be like, all right, week 9, you guys can, that's when you plan your family reunions and shit because the whole league's off, but there's too much money to lose there. So I know that's not going to happen.
Okay, so we go from the bye week. We play the Browns on October the 12th.
I'm sure we'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be there. That's my birthday weekend.
Oh, great.
That's my birthday
I'll be sure to forget about it, you prick.
Oh, Dees, by the way, when Adam Bittner was talking, I went and looked at your profile. It said your birthday was 3 days ago. I can't even comment on it because it won't let me comment on anything.
Well, yeah, because Facebook's like, you fucking missed it, asshole.
No, I can go back and comment on other people's birthdays. But Dees, happy 50th birthday to you.
Thank you.
I know you just wanted to give me shit, but
yes.
Anyway.
Talk about grumpy old men.
Yeah. So anyway, so we get to the Browns October 12th, and then we go to Cincinnati on October 16th, which is a Thursday night football game. 4-day rest there. Hopefully we can win one of these 2 games. I know we split with both of these teams this past year, and then we play Green Bay, as you called it, D's, because somebody said something about we were going to Green Bay. You said no, we play Green Bay in Pittsburgh this year. And, there's 2 games on this schedule that I have circled, week 1 and week number 2, which are Aaron Rodgers' former teams. And he wants to stick it to the Jets, especially after how his exit interview was. And he'll probably light them up if he has the right plays. And,
provided he has somebody to throw to.
Correct. But
I could see a career game out of Aaron. I just think his motivation, if what he said, and I have no reason not to believe it, what he said was true about the way that they treated him and his exit interview. Man, I could see vintage Aaron, even if just for 1 week, where he just fucking destroys the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, Chipper, that's classic Aaron Rodgers.
Sure.
Go back and watch that.
It could be one of those Brett Favre-esque type of games. Just to, Brett Favre had the dad thing and just went off.
Yeah, and
Aaron Rodgers can do the same thing and really stick it to the Jets. 500 yards.
And Dees, you would agree he's pretty pissed off at the Jets organization for just that.
Yeah, he was like just dumbfounded when he was telling that story on the McAfee show, and I was too. Like, how do you treat a guy like that who has been in the league and done what he's done? Like, fly the guy all the way across the country to let him sit there for 15 minutes, and then you just say, "We're moving on without you." And that's the end of the meeting.
And it's not the general manager who tells him that. It's the head coach, and he goes back out of the room, comes back in, and tells him. He leans over to him and says, "Yeah, we're going to move on from you," and just leaves the room.
Yeah, that was the meeting.
That's how the Jets. Wow. That's how Aaron Glenn and the Jets organization dealt with that, and Aaron is furious about that. Furious.
I would be too.
He said, he goes, I was planning on being there for 8 to 10 hours. I had dinner set up at 5 o'clock with my people in New York, blah, blah, blah. He says, I got there at 10 a.m. The meeting was done at 10:15. I stayed there an extra 4 hours because he goes, I wanted to go back home, but I had a dinner meeting. He goes, I stayed till 5 o'clock and stayed in New York until 8 o'clock, I think it was. He said he took his plane ride back to California.
Wow. Well, that's the Jets.
I mean, and that's where Justin Fields wanted to go because Aaron Glenn. But kudos to Justin. He got paid. He's going to start. But I think if Aaron signs, man, that's going to be a game where he wants to play, and this Packers game too, because I think he wants to show the Packers he still has something left in the tank. But that's just my thoughts. So we got the Packers on October 26th. Then we go to the Colts come to Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. We got 4 minutes left to go. We can go into a little bit of overtime here. Because the NFL rules passed it, we can go into the new, not sudden death overtime, but the original overtime. So your thoughts on the Packers game, Chipper?
I'm looking forward to it, especially being Sunday night game.
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
What about the Colts game? What do you guys liking that game?
Man, I guess it depends who's going to be quarterback. Is it going to be Anthony Richardson or not?
Who's their backup?
Danny Jones.
Oh, yeah, Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Then we go against, in L.A., Najee Harris and the Los Angeles Chargers. Deez, your thoughts on that?
I think we're going to see just how much of an impact guys like Derek Harmon and Aya Black can provide us this season. Because that team is going to be a very, very run-heavy team. I maybe not so much anymore because they drafted Hampton, but I think we are going to see a much different and a rejuvenated Najee Harris running in an actual system that is more his style as opposed to Arthur's outside zone. I think the Chargers is going to be a tough one. We're going to have to stop the run there. And their quarterback's no slouch either. They just don't have a lot of receiver help.
No, I mean, and you got 3 former Steelers that are looking for revenge. Najee Harris, Mike Williams, and Dante Jackson, all looking for revenge against Pittsburgh for giving up on them.
Well, that's if Dante can play because his back is so fucked.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, but he played decent for us when he was healthy.
Oh, yeah, no. Look, if he didn't have the injury issues, I would have loved to have Dante back because he had a hell of a season. The problem was he just couldn't stay on the field.
And then we come back home and play again in 4 weeks, Cincinnati to round that out with the Bengals. Our season series with the Bengals are 2 times. We're done with that. So your thoughts on the Bengals game on November the 16th?
Well, I mean, it's still Bengals. They don't, especially with Trey Hendrickson coming out and saying that he's not going to play in his current deal. Will he be there or won't he be there?
Man, it's not looking good. The mud is getting fucking slung right now, and I think he's going to be gone. I don't even know how they can afford to pay him.
I mean, their defense is ass to begin with, but can you imagine if they didn't have Trey Hendrickson? Good Lord.
Yeah. So, and then we go to Chicago, D's backyard.
D's will be there.
And
yes, I will.
The revamped Chicago Bears with a new head coach. What's his name?
Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson from the Lions, who was the offensive coordinator. Caleb Williams is back for another year, his sophomore season.
Rome Odunze.
They got what's the tight end they got from Penn State?
Tyler Warren.
They got him. They got running backs. They solidified their defense a little bit. So this may be a
these may be jumping ship here in a couple of years from the Steelers to the Bears, because the Bears will end up being pretty good and will probably be bad.
I still don't think
1985 guarantees that I will never root for the Bears unless it's to do us a favor.
1985, that Super Bowl against the Patriots, man. How do you let William Refrigerator Perry get a touchdown and not the great
Exactly.
How do you not let Walter Payton get a touchdown in that Super Bowl? It appalls me. I don't understand that call by Ditka. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I was only 10 years old when that happened, and you had that dumbass song, Super Bowl Shuffle. And then they do the shit with Walter Payton. And at 10 years old, I remember distinctly thinking, fuck this team. I will never root for this team to do that to somebody like Walter Payton.
My friend that lived a couple houses down from me, he was a big Bears fan. And I remember him talking about that. And I'm like, dude, you guys have a top 3 running back of all time in the history of the game, and he doesn't score a touchdown in the Super Bowl? Like, whose thoughts was that? And you know who their quarterbacks were on that roster?
Yeah, Jim McMahon, Mike Tomczak.
Yeah.
Mike Tomczak. And you know who their 3rd-string quarterback was? Wasn't it Harbaugh?
Not yet.
Harbaugh wasn't there yet?
I don't think Harbaugh came until either the following season or 87. I don't remember exactly, but Harbaugh was not on that.
Okay, because I thought that he was on there. But you had Mike Tomczak on there from Ohio State, who eventually became a Steelers quarterback, then a Browns quarterback.
Number 18.
Yeah, number 18. I mean, shit, dude. Like, I don't know how you don't get Walter Payton a touchdown in that Super Bowl. And weren't the Patriots like 7-9 and got to the Super Bowl because of injuries in the AFC Championship?
Yeah, it was one of the bigger upsets in NFL playoff history. They knocked off the Marino Dolphins.
Yeah, 7-9, and you go to the fucking Super Bowl.
I don't think they were 7-9, but they weren't good. Like they were maybe at best they might have been 9-7. But yeah, they were a nobody. Nobody expected anything, and they caught fire at the right time.
Let's see if Chipper remembers this, or D's. Who was their starting quarterback in that Super Bowl?
Game?
It wasn't Grogan. It was the oh God.
Yeah.
The young kid. Oh man.
Was it
Tony Eason?
Tony Eason started for them in the Super Bowl?
Wasn't it Tony Eason?
I believe Grogan. Eason, I think, was their starter. But then he got hurt, and Grogan is the one that played in the actual Super Bowl.
Yes.
See?
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So we move on from the Bears, and then we got Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills coming to Pittsburgh.
Well, hopefully the defense will have our shit together.
Yeah, I feel a lot better about that game having it at home. But again, it's one of those, like, what's the health of the two teams going to be? They're 13 weeks into the season.
Josh Allen still doesn't have anybody to throw to, though.
Yeah,
he's got Keon Coleman, but that's kind of it.
On paper, yeah, they're going to beat us. But the way Josh Allen has treated us over the last few years, maybe we're due.
I hope so. And then December the 7th, the Baltimore Ravens. We go to Baltimore to play the Ravens. Chipper, your thoughts on that game?
Ugh. Hopefully our run defense will be a hell of a lot better. Won't give up 300 rushing yards.
These
Agreed. We'll probably drop that one though. I could see us losing in Baltimore, and then like it seems to happen every year, we'll have to beat them to make the playoffs, and we will, because at that point they might be resting players, or I don't know. We're due for some injuries from some of these superstars, whether it's Mahomes or Allen or Lamar. I'll be shocked if Derrick Henry lasts all year.
Speaking of him, he just signed a new 2-year deal with the Ravens.
Yep.
Yeah, he got Saquon money.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to move on from that to the Miami Dolphins on December 15th.
Will it be Tua at quarterback, or will it be will be
If he's alive that late in the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. December game in Pittsburgh against Miami. We're going to beat the dog shit out of them.
This right here, the next game, is one of the games that I want to go to.
I'll be there.
Detroit?
I'll be there.
You already got your tickets?
I have it in the works that yes.
Nice, dude. Nice. December the 21st at 4:25 p.m. in Detroit. That's Ford Field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Ford Field. So, yeah, so Pittsburgh goes there. Your thoughts on that, Dees?
I'm on two sides here with Detroit this season. I think this is either this is some wisdom here. This is the year that they get over the hump, because they've been so close. Like, this is the year that Dan Campbell bites enough kneecaps that they do it. Or this is the year that they fucking fall off a cliff. They lost
both of their
coordinators. Yeah. Jared Goff has to get back to being Jared Goff at some point. I mean, they have a ton of talent around him, so that probably helps his cause. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be one or the other, or in between. It's either they are going to dominate and be the clear-cut Super Bowl favorite, or they're going to be struggling to get 9 wins.
It would definitely be interesting to see what the offense does without Ben Johnson. Isn't Antoine Randall the offensive coordinator now?
Yes, he got promoted.
Oh, is he the OC?
I think so.
Yes,
I think so.
He's the offensive coordinator.
Because he was the receivers coach. And I think he got promoted to OC.
Yes. And then December the 28th, this could be a Christmas present for the Steelers or a Christmas present for the Browns. We are in Cleveland for that game. Chipper, your thoughts?
Hopefully it won't be another snow globe game like last year and we'll somehow fuck it up.
NFL, thank you for fucking it up and putting it in the cold, because
what's wrong with that? What the hell's wrong with that?
At least we don't have to worry about George Pickens trying to fight a fan.
Yeah, right?
You might do that.
Instead of DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
So I think I'd rather fight George, though. That's a fucking man among boys.
Yeah. And then we round out the season once again with our friends in Maryland, this time at home, the Baltimore Ravens.
I could see that being the last game of the year for next couple of years, unless the team from First Energy actually gets good.
Is that the biggest rivalry in the NFL, Baltimore-Pittsburgh? Or is it still Cleveland-Pittsburgh?
No, I think it's got to be Baltimore-Pittsburgh. I mean, Green Bay, Chicago might get a little more of their luster back, as they, on paper, have improved. But yeah, it depending on the season, it's those two rivalries. You know, I would give the edge, because Chicago has been so fucking bad for so long, that in my eyes, it's Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and it's been that for the last 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be the team for First Energy, because we're always shitting all over them and kicking their ass. And
yeah, there's no rivalry there. I mean, maybe back from the 80s and early 90s, but we've dominated them for so long. Yep. The only reason it's a rivalry is because of the history and how long that they've both been in the league.
Yep, and the team for First Energy fans and media around here want to keep it alive, but
yeah. All right, real quick, your thoughts on the schedule, Chipper, prediction wise, as we go into it right now with the way this roster is constructed, and then we'll touch back on this before the season.
We're assuming that AR is signed.
No.
As it stands right
stands right now, and then if Aaron signs, when he signs, we'll redo it at the beginning of the season. Right now, the Steelers going
in typical Tomlin fashion, somehow we'll finish 9-8
with Mason Rudolph as our starting quarterback right now. He's penciled in right now.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. 9-8.
9-8.
D,
somehow.
Your thoughts?
Look, Mike Tomlin is still the coach. I don't care if it's fucking Rudolph Giuliani. We're going to find a way to win 9.
You know, guys, I have to agree with you. I think somehow, some way, I don't know how the fuck he does it.
Somehow.
I agree with you guys. We're 9-8 all across the board. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how we win 9 games with Mason as our starting quarterback, but I've seen worse things happen before. Fuck, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl with
Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, Trent Dilfer. Matt Hasselbeck led the fucking Seahawks in the Super Bowl. So I'm not saying Mason's going to lead us, but I think we can get 9 games. And Mason played pretty good his last tenure with Pittsburgh, the last 3 games, and he didn't play pretty good last year. They got him as a backup. I say we find a way to win 9 games.
He had a shit team though in Tennessee. You can talk about Mason all you want, but if you look at his interceptions, I think more than half of them were on drops or tip passes. I want Aaron. I've made that perfectly clear, but I am one little part of me is kind of excited and wondering what Mason can do with an actual solid team around him.
Yeah,
I really am. Like, if Aaron says no, I'm good with
it. If Aaron says no, you have to give the keys to Mason.
Yeah. It's not going to be Will Howard, and it sure as fuck ain't going to be. I don't think they're going to touch Kirk Cousins. I think they're just going to let it ride, because it's a win-win. Mason comes in and shows that he belongs, or Mason falls flat on his ass. We see what we got in Will Howard. We win 5 games, and we don't have to spend as much draft capital to move up and get a quarterback. It's a no-lose situation.
Yeah.
Somehow 9 wins. Can you imagine that?
All right, for D's, the birthday boy. For Chipper, the returning Chipper. Chipper re-signed a contract with Steel City Renegades.
Yeah, the fucker he held out. He had a hold in.
He had a hold in. He re-signed with the Renegades just like Mason did. He signed a 2-year deal for 50 cents to the dollar. He's back with us here on Renegades. Yeah, glad to have Chipper back.
And I'll Iron City, I want to drink.
And when we go to Pittsburgh, Chipper, I'll buy you a milkshake for your
at Permane Brothers.
No, at Burgatory.
Okay.
So, Deez, have you ever been to Burgatory in Pittsburgh?
No.
Dude,
good shit.
Pittsburgh. Oh, it's the best burger. Best burger.
I'm really gonna try hard to get to Pittsburgh this year, and actually, I'm leaning towards either the Cleveland game or the Colts game.
Well, whatever game you decide.
Let's make the Browns game work.
Let's make the Browns game.
Because me and Dave go to that every year, and let's make the 3 of us make it. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, Deez. We'll let you know for sure. All right, Deez, thank you. Appreciate you coming in, man. We are going to be out of here for this week, and we will see you following us next week here on Renegades. Have a good one, everyone.
See ya.